Hello. This thing happened to me a few months ago. I just needed to share it with someone. It all started at my friend's party. He's an artist who rented out a loft in the industrial part of town. If you can picture what a place like Detroit looked like in the 1920s, that's what this area looks like. A bunch of old turn-of-the-century factories crammed into 10 blocks. Most of them are abandoned. So I partied a little too hard that night and decided to crash on a couch at the loft. I woke up at around 4 AM. The sun wasn't out yet, but you could still make things out in the dim blue light. I went to the bathroom, carefully tiptoeing around the people that were passed out on the floor. As I was using the bathroom, I tiptoed to look out the bathroom window, and I saw the panorama of deserted urban decay. I remembered how much I liked places like this. It was so dark and devoid of life, and strangely serene. So I went back to the couch and tried to fall asleep. After 45 minutes of staring at the ceiling, I decided I didn't want to be there any longer. So I swallowed my pride and decided to wake up my girlfriend to beg her for a ride, since walking around the vacant streets at this time was not an option. Being an awesome girlfriend, she was totally cool with it, and told me that she would be there in about half an hour, and that she would give me a call when she was outside. My phone died 10 minutes later, so I decided I would sit by the window and watch out for her car. I sat there for a while, and my eyes started to get heavy, and I begun to doze off. A crashing noise outside woke me up. It wasn't loud, but just enough to snap me into reality. I looked out the window and scanned the area, but didn't see anything. Across the street from the loft, near a mountain of garbage bags and one of those enormous dumpsters, I see a computer and a monitor smashed against the floor that hadn't been there before. So when my girlfriend arrived, I went downstairs and greeted her. Just as I was about to get in the car, I remembered a friend of mine who had blown out his power supply. So I decided to walk over to the dumpster and see what I could salvage. The monitor was worthless, but the tower seemed to have suffered almost no damage. So I put it in the trunk and then we drove off. About a week had passed and I had completely forgotten about the tower until my girlfriend called to let me know that it was still in the trunk and that she wanted it gone. That night, I brought it home. Before I took it apart, I decided to hook it up to my monitor to see if it still ran, and to my surprise, it did. It ran Windows XP, and it looked like it had been completely wiped. I decided to do some keyword searching, just in case if this person had left some kind of files behind. Morbid curiosity, I guess. The search came up with nothing. I searched for picture files, nothing. Then I searched for movies, and one file came up. It was a .avi file. Inside of a folder, titled Barbie, hidden in the Windows/System32 directory. So I played it. Now this is where it gets disturbing. The movie was about an hour long. It was made up of what seemed like raw exported footage. The footage was of a woman sitting on a chair talking against a white backdrop. So I skipped most of the movie. It was all the same continuous shot. Then I decided to sit through the footage to find out what she was talking about. 15 seconds into the footage, the audio goes completely bad, and her voice is drowned in harsh static/background noise. I couldn't make out a thing. So I imported the footage into the Final Cut and tried to mess around with the levels to isolate her voice. It helped a little, but I still couldn't hear what she was saying. I was intrigued now, and I began to really pay attention to her face and body language. It seems like she was being asked some kind of questions, because she stops at times to listen, and then continues talking. About 15 minutes into the footage, Her face begins to redden and contort as if the questions are bothering her, but she continues to answer them anyway. Shortly after, she begins to cry. She sobs hysterically for the duration of the film. One of the few words I could lip read was skin. She repeats this word many times throughout the footage, and at one point, she even pulls at the skin from her arm and mouths the word. She seems to be unhappy with her skin. There is much more I have to get off my chest, but it is getting late. I can't go on. I will share the rest tomorrow. God save my soul. It kept on building and building, and about 40 minutes in, she's crying so hard she can barely look at the camera. She stops talking at this point, and the rest of the footage is just her crying with her head down. Oddly enough, she doesn't get up or move. The screen just faded to black. I was fucking dumbfounded. I played the thing through many times that night, trying to find inflections and nuances in her movement that would reveal anything else about what was going on. I felt so dissatisfied. I wanted to know more. That's when I noticed that there was about 10 more minutes left on the timeline after the screen cut to black, and about 2 minutes in, there was more footage. The footage was extremely shaky, almost unwatchable, and depicted a pair of legs walking along train tracks. My guess is that the camera was accidentally left on as it was being carried somewhere. The person in this footage walks along the train tracks for about 6 minutes, and turns into the forest and walks over what looked like foliage, flattened by a piece of plywood. The person continues on this makeshift plywood road until the movie clip ends. Now my heart started beating with excitement, because there were train tracks a few miles away that looked very similar to the one in the video. I had to check this out. I called up my friend Urza. He's 6'4", 250 pounds of mostly muscle. I convinced him to go on a little adventure with me. I'm no pushover myself, but I felt if I was to go wandering in the woods for God knows what, extra muscle couldn't hurt. This whole idea of investigating this video had me so excited I just couldn't sleep. The next morning, on a sunny Saturday, I took my flashlight, my camera, and my 7-inch K-bar with a matte black finish and serrated edge, and went to pick up Urza. When I got to his house, he wasn't even awake. When I woke him up, he pretty much told me to fuck off. I was already packed, and had mentally prepared myself to do this, so I decided to go through it without him. I parked my car at the train station, took my stuff, and hopped onto the tracks. After walking for about 2 hours, I saw a broken piece of plywood, and my knees almost buckled with excitement. I searched the nearby foliage, and there it was, a little pilewood trail leading into the forest. I walked slowly along the trail, paying close attention to everything. I would stop occasionally, kneel down, and listen for anything or anyone. But it was so quiet. This is one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done. I didn't know what to expect at the end of this trail. The dense tree line gave way into a little island of grassy field, and then I saw it. A house being consumed by the forest. From the looks of it, no one had lived there for maybe 20 or 30 years. I got my camera and snapped a few photos. A few yards away from the house was a tool shed made of rusty sheet metal. I just sat there amongst the trees for a while, absorbing everything. I didn't want to go into the open field. I had this bad feeling that someone would come and see me. It took me a while to muster the courage to head into the house. The door was partially opened. I pushed it in with the flashlight and was relieved that the inside was actually very well lit. I put my flashlight away, got my camera, and took a few more pictures. There was no furniture. The floor was riddled with bricks, wood, and rubble, and some of the walls had huge holes in them. When I went in further to explore, I saw some things that I didn't pay much mind to in that moment. but now that I think about them in hindsight, they greatly disturbed me. The first thing that seemed a little odd was that one of the doors in the first room, that I presume led to the basement, seemed a little too new to be in this house. It was also the only door in the house that was locked. Also, when I made my way up to the second floor, I saw some chairs and a fold-up table that seemed almost too new to be there. But what disturbed me the most for some reason was the bathroom. The dust on the mirror had been wiped away, and in the bathtub I saw a clear plastic top that still had water droplets on it, from when I presume it was washed clean. That's when I heard something moan really loud, and that's when I jumped the fuck out of the second story window and ran back to the tracks. Halfway there, I realised the moaning was most likely a water pipe expanding or contracting, and that little moment of relief gave in to the horror which I felt when I wondered why the water would be running on an abandoned house in the middle of the fucking woods. It's been a little more than 2 months since this happened, and I haven't gone back there, nor do I plan to. And that, my dorks, was Barbie.avi, written by I have no idea who. Yeah, it's unknown, that wasn't actually the author's name. My thoughts on this story? It's honestly pretty good. I've heard about Barbie.avi before, but never had the chance to read it until now. This one just randomly popped into my head. This is one of few creepypastas that has some kind of credibility and or chance it could be real. Nothing in this story seems completely out of the ordinary. In fact, it seems like something a bunch of students could do if they got money and cameras. I have no clue if this is real or not. It could be an interesting story to do on the creepypasta debunking. I liked how this one took a break from the usual blood, guts and hyperrealism, and for that I gotta give it some props. It didn't blow me away and completely terrify me, but to be completely honest, I really like the story, it's not that bad. Now, it's not the greatest in the world, it doesn't even crack top 10 for me, but it's a fine story nonetheless. I feel like there could have been a little more done, maybe try and explain the origins of the tape a little, but to be completely honest, I think that was intentional, to leave most of it up to the viewer's interpretation. If I had to give this story a final rating out of 10, I'm going to award Barbie.avi a good old 7 out of 10. It's very unique, I enjoyed this, it has some form of reality and realism, it could happen. In fact, it's one of the most plausible creepypastas I've ever seen. The audio abruptly got cut off, and I don't know why, but I was supposed to be doing my normal outro, so, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, hit the bell so you can stay up to date with my latest videos, and comment down below what did you think of Barbie.avi. Did you like it or was it not your taste? I'll see you all in the next video, take care my dorks.